Yakuza Kiwami punched its way onto the Nintendo Switch a year ago to positive reviews, introducing a new platform of gamers to the over-the-top action series. Now, despite the initial comments from Yakuza game designer Toshiro Nagoshi insisting that the Switch was a children's console, we now have 3 Yakuza games on the Switch 2 and another one on the way in February. Now, Kiwami 1 has received a Switch 2 upgrade to coincide with the release of Kiwami 2. What's it like? Put on your best suit, crack those knuckles, and prepare to prepare to fight, as we review Yakuza Kiwami on Nintendo Switch 2. This review is an updated version of my original Yakuza Kiwami review from over a year ago. If you're primarily interested in how the game performs on Nintendo Switch 2, we also have a dedicated performance video that covers all the changes and compares performance. Yakuza Kiwami takes us back to where it all began for the franchise as a remake of the original PS2 game, following Kazuma Kiryu, a Yakuza who's about to start his own family under his boss. Now, I don't want to go into too many details because, if like me, you're fairly new to the series, the well-written narrative and gripping story progression will really surprise you. The remake expands on the original in many ways, exploring the internal strife between the clans while also adjusting the story to align with Yakuza 0, the prequel released long after the original, but also available on the Switch 2. If you want to dive into the series, I do recommend starting with 0. The narrative starts out as a slow burn and gradually escalates with each chapter, raising the stakes and carefully revealing its hand in the most impactful moments. It's violent and often brutal, yet also humorous and endearing, and it strikes just the right balance to nail the tone in key places. Yakuza Kiwami plays like an RPG beat-em-up, with visceral and brutal hand-to-hand combat that never really wears thin. It's both raw and stylish, and allows Kiryu to flick between fighting styles depending on how you want to play. There are speed and technique options for smart combos or rapid fire hits, or brawler combos where you viciously swing haymakers and clotheslines to control the crowd. For those undecided, you can also stay right in the middle ground. Combos build up your heat meter, and they let you execute massive punishing moves like a tombstone or smashing an enemy's face into the ground. And these moves never fail to entertain, and combat continues to evolve as you spend points on new moves and ability throughout the tech tree. The combat is refined into an art form, and it offers a lot of depth for players looking to master it. When you feel like taking a break from the fighting, the fictional streets of Kamurocho still have plenty to do, even if the world is smaller than most modern titles. You can attend gentlemen's clubs, visit restaurants that offer buffs and stat boosts, play at the Sega arcade, try Mahjong, or even partake in Kiryu's favourite pastime of Pocket Circuit, collecting parts for your slot racer to dominate the local racing scene. Now, while many gamers may dismiss these side activities in favour of pushing through the main story, they also provide a glimpse into Kiryu's emotion and backstory. Seeing him light up when discovering that his local Pocket Circuit is still running creates a surprisingly emotional and nostalgic tone, and it explores the less brutal side of Kiryu. I think this is an expert way how the game demonstrates that the world has moved on from Kiryu, yet finding something safe and familiar in such a dangerous world gives him an anchor. Another great example are the frequent encounters with Goro Majima, a Yakuza who challenge you to fights in order to push you back into your glory days. Initially, these encounters made me dislike the character, but as our often humorous interactions continued, I began to really enjoy running into Majima and even sought him out to fight and level up my skills. My only complaint with Yakuza Kiwami would be that it's a product of its time, and sometimes has a stilted mission structure when it comes to side missions and world events. One particular mission is right at the start of the game, which is an arbitrary fetch quest to purchase a ring that gets stolen. And so begins a 20-minute quest to find the ring, go buy the ring, get more money for the ring, twice over. When all is said and done, you get the ring for free, and it makes the entire mission feel pointless. It was needlessly frustrating, and I did come across a few quests like this that managed to test my patience when all I really wanted to do was jump back into the intriguing and unfolding story. Thankfully, these side missions do little to dampen my enthusiasm to uncover the rest of the events in the world of Yakuza, and some can even be skipped, although I do recommend trying to do them all. The world of Yakuza Kiwami is a prime example of stellar game design, packing just a few blocks of a city with so much to do that exploring Kamurocho feels truly immersive. Pedestrians go about their business, bikes and deliveries clutter the side streets, and stores you can enter are detailed and interactive. Characters look great, each with their own unique mannerisms, style, and even dialect differences, most notably between the Tokyo-based Kiryu and the Osaka-originating Goro Majima. On Switch 2, the improvements are noticeable. Your textures are sharper, the lighting is clearer, and the environment just feels more alive, particularly in both handheld and dock modes. Crowds and street details remain busy and vibrant without causing the frame rate issues that we saw in the original Switch release, making exploration smoother than ever before. Kamurocho remains impressively detailed, and it was one of the best looking game worlds on the original Switch, and the upgrades make it feel even closer to the bigger console versions. Yakuza Kiwami on the Switch 2 sees a noticeable improvement in the overall performance compared with the original release. The game now runs at a stable, locked frame rate of 60 frames a second, even in the busiest streets of Kamurocho, and it makes combat feel smoother and more responsive. Heat moves and fast-paced brawler combos land with no input delay, giving an action a satisfying weight that matches the intensity of the story. Load times have also been reduced across the board, from entering buildings to fast travel, allowing for a much more seamless experience. Transitions between cutscenes and gameplay are also quicker, helping the narrative flow without unnecessary pauses. For players who did struggle with the minor dips or slower load times on the original Switch, the Switch 2 versions offers a noticeably smoother and more polished experience. Overall, these upgrades make revisiting Kamurocho feel both familiar and refreshed, proving that the game benefits from the improved hardware without changing that core experience that made it so memorable. For my Yakuza initiates looking into accessibility options, unfortunately there are no dedicated settings. The game is also spoken in Japanese and is subtitled, which may be harder to read in handheld mode. As always, I recommend further research into finding out if Yakuza Kiwami suits your needs. Outside of accessibility, they did add a few subtle quality of life additions to help the game feel more immersive. There's a dedicated follow button and a slow walk button that allow for a more immersive experience when skulking the streets. Yakuza Kiwami on Switch originally had a great price point of $30 Australian. The Switch 2 version incorporates the $17 upgrade price, which brings it to $47 Australian. Now this remains a reasonable price for the amount of polish, performance improvements, and gameplay included, but the upgrade only applies to owners of the digital version and does not extend to those who purchased a limited run physical copy, which is worth noting for the collectors. Overall, Yakuza Kiwami on Switch 2 takes an already great game and makes it even better. I'm thrilled that Nintendo gamers can now experience Yakuza 0 through to Kiwami 2, with Kiwami 3 arriving in February. Here's hoping that the game's a success and the Yakuza series continues to see a steady stream of releases on Nintendo platforms until the saga is complete. For returning players, the performance improvements make revisiting Kamurocho well worth it, and for newcomers, there's never really been a better time to jump into the series. So, what's it like? Yakuza Kiwami is like Fighting Force with a dash of Final Fantasy. I award it a 92 out of 100. Yakuza Kiwami is a what's it like certified exceptional game. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out what'sitlike.com.au.